Hi, Lester, Wushu engineer. It's been some time since I posted anything about the samurai jacket build because I've a number of other projects on the go at the same time. But today's the day. I've built another part of my functional samurai jacket. For those of you coming into this video without having seen the last two videos, I would suggest that you first take a look at the previous two samurai jacket build videos. Because I'm not going to be repeating all of the background that I went through in those two videos. Suffice to say that I love the look of the samurai jacket in the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 game, and I decided to build a functional version of this iconic jacket. Needless to say, design changes have to be made in order to make the jacket functional, as explained in my previous video. So my samurai jacket can be said to be inspired by the original and not identical to it. I will also be putting my new Wushu engineer logo on the back and not the samurai logo, because copyright. In the last video, I mentioned that I would like to incorporate some more of the iconic traditional elements seen in a suit of samurai armor. I have cherry-picked several design elements based on their appropriateness for what I'm trying to achieve in this build. So I'm not going to be staying true to any one historical period in this build, clearly, because it's a fantasy build. The elements that I've built into the jacket today are the Han Kote, or half gauntlets that cover the forearms. Forgive my pronunciation, I'm no expert in Japanese armor. Note that I didn't include any actual gauntlets that cover the hands, because this has to remain a jacket, as in the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer. These Han Kote are similar to Western vambraces. I had to try to minimize weight on the armor covering my peripheral limbs, because additional weight on my peripheral limbs would decrease my peripheral movement. Peripheral movement speed. The Han Kote were thus constructed of articulated strips that were in turn a composite of 2mm thick G10 fiberglass sheet and a ceramic. The strips were laid on a thin foam pad, laminated between sheets of Kevlar fabric, and then covered in a nylon outer layer. The material performs extremely well at stopping edged weapons in cutting and stabbing penetration. I did a couple of tests to show this using the cold steel Magnum Kukri machete. It's a beast that I often use to do fairly abusive tests with, although it is quite sharp. As you can see, I did the following tests using a block of foam as a backing pad to the armor sample to simulate the semi-flexible nature of the wearer's body. As you can see, the armor stands up excellently. The Han Kote were then riveted and sewn onto the sleeves of the base motorcycle jacket that I'm using as the base of this build. So how does the armor perform in actual use? There are a lot of folks in YouTube land who build fantasy and sci-fi weapons and armor, and they do an awesome job of the build. However, I've not seen many who design these items so that they would be practically effective in actual fighting. Although many of the things that I design are fantasy or science fiction, I like to design and build them so that they would still be of practical benefit in a fight, even though they are fantasy items. I got Sherilyn to perform some mid to high power strikes against the Han Kote using a short staff or solid hardwood flute. If you've watched some of my earlier videos, you'll know that this weapon, the hardwood flute, can strike as hard as a baseball bat. While taking the strikes in this way was not comfortable, it was not damaging in any way, and the armor stood up exceptionally well with no damage at all. Reacting in this way to incoming force is, by meeting it head on, is not typical of traditional Wushu's approach. But at least this serves to demonstrate that the armor functions well. Lastly, we put the armor through a set of lighter sparring sessions using a lighter padded short staff. Although the Han Kote were not without weight, I felt that they did not impede my movement significantly, and it intuitively allowed for some interesting sparring approaches and entry methodologies. Stay tuned for future videos on this topic, and let me know whether you're enjoying the Samurai Jacket build series. Of course, I'll still build it even if no one wants to watch me do it. What can I say? I have some strange interests that I am compelled to pursue. Cheers! I'll see you next time.